Hi, today I'm going to tell you about my favorite authors that I read in 2025, meaning authors I had never read before, but read for the first time this previous year. I've been doing my end of year videos, like my favorite books of 2025, and this is another video that I think I might like to do each year. I have 4 authors to talk about. I'll say what books of theirs I read, which books of theirs I want to read in the future. Some of them have upcoming releases, so I may mention those. And when I say which books of theirs I've read, I'll mention them in the order that I read them. I had a lot of good reading in 2025, and I discovered some authors that I really like that I think are contenders of becoming my favorite authors. I don't know if I'd consider any of them there yet, some of them more than others, but I think they definitely have potential, or at the very least, I really enjoyed some of their books that I read. The first author is Laura Nowlin. If I own any of their books, I will put them up here. So in early 2025, I read Laura Nowlin's novel, This Song Is Not For You, which is a young adult contemporary romance. And I loved this book, and I considered it my new favorite book. I currently still call it that. It has a pretty low average rating on Goodreads, and I understand that it's not for everyone, but I personally enjoyed it, and I think it's definitely an example of how, even if the reviews are lower than average, you should definitely still check out a book for yourself because you might love it, and I think you should definitely develop your own opinion of it. Also, all the books in this video that I talk about that I have read, I have individual reviews of if you'd like to learn more about the books, or if you're curious about anything, you can also comment about it. I've just mentioned the books many times, and I don't mind talking about them more, but some people have already heard about them quite a bit. So if you haven't heard about them but would like to, there are other ways you can do that. I'm just giving you the basics, kind of gives you an idea of the categories and genres these authors write in. And also around this time I'm releasing my favorite books of 2025 video, so you will have heard about some of these books in that video. Anyway, I read this and loved it, and I definitely wanted to read more of her books. So she has this duology, If He Had Been With Me and If Only I Had Told Her, and these books are much more popular than This Song Is Not For You. I think they're pretty popular on Book Talk as well. I definitely want to read more by her, so I want to read these preferably soon. Hopefully I will get to these within the next few months. They are not at the very top of the priority list, but they're pretty up there. I think these are also young adult romances. Contemporary as well, I believe. And currently contemporary is my favorite genre, which really fits in with all the authors I'm going to be talking about today, although I know one of them has written in other genres. So I really look forward to reading these and seeing what they're like. They're longer, so maybe if I like them, there will be even more to enjoy. I don't know if I'll like them as much as This Song Is Not For You. They may be very different. But in This Song Is Not For You, there were many things I liked about it. I liked that it was very much about music, and I liked a lot of the messages and ideas in it, and there was some good representation in it. And I guess it was just for me. So I don't know for sure if I'll like these, but I have a feeling I'll probably like them at least a little bit, or maybe I will just have liked that one book. So for Laura Nowlin, I can't really say she's one of my favorite authors because I've only read one book by her. It's possible that I just liked that book, but I am looking forward to reading more from her and seeing if I'll enjoy those. The next author I want to talk about is Sarah Dessen. I believe she has only written young adult, contemporary romance. I don't know if all of her books are romances, but they seem to be in that sort of genre. So I read her book, Just Listen, and it's not my favorite book ever, but it was one of my favorite books I read in 2025. I really enjoyed this. This one also very much is about music, but I enjoyed just like the relationships and things like that in it, and just the ideas in it, and it was just an enjoyable story, easy to follow along with. I enjoyed the family aspect of it. Yeah, I have found her books that I've read very easy to follow along with. Like, if I see that the next chapter is 20 pages, in some books that will feel like a long time, but in these I know they will go by pretty quickly. And I think that's partially due to the genre. Like, I'm not having to imagine big, crazy, futuristic machines or monsters or anything like that. But this is very much my style. I wanted to read more authors similar to Judy Blume, and she was recommended when I looked that up. And this is definitely the kind of book I'd like to read more of. So Sarah Dessen, I read 3 books of hers in 2025. I then read her book, The Truth About Forever, which I did not absolutely love. I had some issues with that one, but I overall enjoyed it. Again, easy to follow along with, my kind of book. It just wasn't as good as Just Listen, in my opinion. I believe Just Listen is her most popular work, and I can see why. So for me, The Truth About Forever was pretty good, but not absolutely amazing. I didn't absolutely love it. I gave that one 4 stars. Then I read her first novel that summer, and that one I would say, if I were to rank the 3, would be at the bottom. It was her first novel, so a lot of the time you don't expect that to be great, and it was fine. I think it was a good start. It just wasn't as groundbreaking to me. It was fine. I'm sure it was probably more decent for the time. Not that it's like really outdated. I just mean, like, I don't know if that book would get published as easily today. Maybe it wasn't easy back then either, but I'm just saying, like, it kind of, I guess, just didn't have much to it. I mean, it had some things. It was fine. Not the best story I ever read, but it was about family and relationships and looking back on old times that you thought were better and things like that. So it was good, but I also gave that one 4 stars. I also have her book, What Happened to Goodbye, up here. I plan on reading this at some point. Who knows when I'll get to it. There's another book of hers I plan on checking out from the library that sounds pretty interesting. I think that'll be the next book of hers I read. She also has a book, Change of Plans, coming out this May. I don't know if I'll have that pre-ordered. If not, I would like to try to get to reading it sometime this year. I think I'll enjoy it. I'm excited that she's coming out with a new book. I want to read almost all of her books. There's one that I don't think I would like. But other than that, most of her books are on my TBR, and I look forward to reading more from her. I think that I will enjoy them. At the very least, they are contemporary stories and young adult, and some of them were published in the 90s or 2000s, which I like. I'm sure I can enjoy the more modern ones as well and can probably relate to them a bit more. But even if I don't love the books, at least they should be my kind of book. The next author I want to mention, like Lauren Allen, I have only read one book of hers so far. That is Elle McNichol. Last year I read her novel A Kind of Spark, which was a middle grade contemporary story. I think she has written for a lot of different ages. Like, she has middle grade, I think she has adult stuff, maybe young adult, maybe something in between there. I know she has written contemporary, I believe she's written romance, but I think she's also written fantasy and maybe some science fiction as well. I think the other book of hers I have is science fiction. Oh, I thought I didn't have any of her books, but no, I did get one last month, so I will put that up there. Yes, I do have her book, Show Us Who You Are. I was just thinking of A Kind of Spark, and I thought about how I borrowed that from the library and don't own that, but I do have that. More on that book later. I loved A Kind of Spark, especially because I have not read very many books with autistic characters, and I definitely want to read more of those. Elle McNichol herself is autistic, and she writes books with neurodivergent characters, and I think that's really important, and I really resonate with them. So I really look forward to reading more of her books. I've got quite a few of hers on my TBR, not all of them, but some of them definitely sound interesting. There are some more in the world of A Kind of Spark, like some books from the perspectives of the main character's sisters, but I think they all kind of are self-contained. You could read them all without really having to read the others. I might read them in publication order, but they're kind of all standalones, but in the same world. So I thought A Kind of Spark was great, and I really look forward to reading Show Us Who You Are. I definitely want it to be one of the next books I read. By the time you see this, it's possible I will have gotten to it. I'm not sure, but I definitely want it to be one of my first books of 2026, and at the start of 2026, I was, and at the time of recording this still am, reading books that I started in 2025. My goal was to finish them by the end of the year. That didn't end up happening, and I wasn't hard on myself about it. I was just like, that's fine. I'll get to it. I was enjoying the books I was reading, so that's important. Then I'll get to them eventually. So at the time of recording this, I do want this to be like the first novel, because I've already read like some smaller children's books that I read in this year. The fourth and final author I want to mention is Alice Oseman. In 2025, I read the first 5 volumes of her Heartstopper graphic novel series, a young adult romance. I know she's written young adult, maybe just young adult, and her stories seem to be contemporary. Some have romances, maybe not all of them are about that, but yeah, I really like Heartstopper. I think that it's really good, and I've also read the novella this winter that takes place in that universe. One of the first books I read in 2026, I want to be her novel Solitaire, which takes place from the perspective of the main character's sister in Heartstopper. And I believe that is where all those characters were originally introduced. I really liked This Winter. That was my first time reading something by her that wasn't in graphic novel format. So I enjoyed that. I look forward to reading a whole novel by her. I don't think I have all her books on my TBR at the moment, but definitely some. They definitely sound interesting. She seems to have a lot of good representation, and I also just enjoy her writing and find it easy to follow along with and just entertaining and good. She has the unique attribute of also being an artist. She also does the art in her books and on her covers, and I think that that's really cool. I really like her art style. I think I would describe it as like cute and warm. It's very nice. So I think she definitely may become one of my favorite authors. I feel more certain about her and Elle McNichol than the other two, but who knows, all of them could become part of that. I don't really have like a set number of my favorite authors. Maybe it should be like a top 10 or just a list of 10 that's not in any particular order. Maybe one day I'll order it. I think it's one thing when you just enjoy a book, but I think it's another when you can really see yourself in the book's characters and their situations, which I felt about most of these books. Not really anything I've read by Sarah Dessen so far, not that I couldn't relate to anything, but I mean when it comes to a certain thing about you, I could definitely relate when it came to This Song Is Not For You, A Kind of Spark, and some things I've heard about Alice Oseman's work. I think it's great to use reading as a way to learn more about other perspectives, definitely, But I think it's also just a really nice feeling to read about characters that are like you, that you can truly resonate with. I look forward to seeing who my new favorite authors will be in 2026. I'm sure I'll read many authors I've never read before, and I look forward to that. It's exciting because you've never read anything by them before, and then maybe you'll like it, and then maybe you'll want to check out all their other work, or at least some of it, or at least see what they have. If you've read any of these authors or any of these books, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Maybe if you've read some of their books that I haven't yet, if you have recommendations on where I should go next with them, please let me know. I mean, each of them I have a plan with, but still, I would like to hear your thoughts. Or if you know of any authors that you think I might like based on things I've said in this video or in any other videos, let me know that as well. Discovering the work of these 4 authors was really enjoyable for me. Thank you for watching.